Hello and welcome to this video. This is for the public speaking class. This covers the first speech and we go over some things stated in class, wrap some things up and so forth. These videos are always difficult to do, not because of the situation and so forth. It's because if you've been in my classes over Zoom and I talk about my dog in the background, she's always on the couch. But whenever I do a video, she's there. She is watching. She's there right, and she's an audience member right there. Just she can't stop watching me do these. So if I get distracted, it's because of the dog. And of course in the Zoom class, you've seen this in the background. This is why this is there. So I can do stuff like that. So let's get started. What we're going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be covering how to convert your outline into the cue cards we talked about. We're going to talk about speech anxiety and how to deal with that. Gave a quick example there. And then finally we're actually going to show you me doing a speech and doing that like an impromptu type situation. So let's get started. Now I've been talking about cue cards, and the first thing I want to say about the cue cards or the index cards is the smallest size that you should get is 4x6. This is a 4x6 card here. Don't get anything smaller than that. That's the smallest size is 4x6. Don't get sheets of paper. What you should do is either have the 4x6 or do the same cue card thing I'm going to talk about and have them in the back. Do not ever, and I mean ever, write out your speech. Do not write complete sentences on your cue cards. Do not ever do that stuff. Remember those exercises we did on elaboration? We did a couple of them. That's what you should be doing. That's how you should be practicing. And we showed this in class, but we're going to get a little bit more precise here. Give you a couple of suggestions on how to actually write the cue cards. A lot of the stuff we covered today, we covered in class in different sections, and I divided it up. This is kind of a wrap-up. This cue card creation is one of them. So what do you do with the index cards or the cue cards behind the camera? You don't write out your speech. You can maybe, with this size of a card, take your speech and then, oh, I have writing here. All right. You can take your speech and then outline it, print it, and then do that here. But the writing would be so small, and the reason why you don't read off a speech, and I said that I showed this in class, is you're going to be that person who, let's see, I'm going to make sure it's, it can barely see the thing. Imagine this being a piece of paper. You're going to be this person, and this is why I want to do this, blah, 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 blah. You're always looking at the paper and reading off your speech, and you're not looking at the audience. You need to look up. I always make the joke that towards the end of the semester, I want to, when students give a speech and I see them constantly looking down and never looking up, I want to put on like a Pennywise mask. That way when they look up, they're, a little bit of a shot. So don't do that. That's why you want to use the cue cards, is you want to look up. And you also want to look up because the timekeeper will be on camera. There will only be 2 active or unmiked Zooms going on at the same time. You as the public speaker, and in my camera, which will actually have the timekeeper in frame. Not me. It will be the timekeeper. Best timekeeper in the business. You'll love him. Great guy. Can vouch for him. Anyways, so what are we going to do with the cue cards, and how do we do that? So what you should be doing with the cue cards, and we talked about this, keywords, quick phrases, and so forth, and just summarize what you want to do. You want to be able to look at the word or the quick phrase and then make a whole deal on it. By the way, different colors, highly recommended. So let's take, for example, if you have an attention getter. And instead of writing attention getter, obviously, you just write the initials. And you'll, by the way, you see this in my feedback. You'll see me say AG, for example. Or, of course, I grabbed the one that has, that's running out of ink. Anyways, you have something like that, AG. And remember the example I always give on my wanting to be a film director speech back in high school? The thing I always say is that long road, long road And I don't even complete the sentence. I maybe have another word, maybe put a slash there. You know, stuff like that. I just have keywords. Maybe not that. Pass. And so I have these like keywords here. And instead of writing out sentences, I look down on my card and I say, and by the way, I'm reading off the screen here. Have you ever been going down a long road and you're seeing in the far distance the end, and you're passing along and you're not looking at all the sights, you're just focused on the end of the road? That's what I feel like when I think about my future. See how I did? I did the attention getter. I had the key words here. I practice. By the way, the best way to get prepared for your speech is practice, practice, practice. And when you do that, you'll notice it's going to be a lot easier for you to complete this and complete these speeches. All right? You're gonna. By the way, when you practice like that, you're going to see what works and what doesn't work. And then you have something like the background. Let's go with BG for background. You remember earlier I said, let's see, long road, heading, and you can do that. You don't even have to write words. You can have arrows. You can have arrows that kind of tell you where to go. So like, again, we're going down the long road and looking ahead, not looking at all the trees that I pass by. This reminds me of how I'm heading into the film industry and the wanting to become a film director. Right? This is what that is. This is how you do that kind of stuff. And you just practice and you elaborate as you go along. You have your audience relevance, your AR, and you can say, oops. Again, I highly recommend different colors. Again, you write your things however you want it. I'm just putting stuff together. I'm just putting this out there. So I'm heading out and film director. And you know, we're all here, we're all students, and we're wondering how we're going to get to our future. And so that's what I'm hoping to do for you today, is talk about how I'm going to get to my future. And you go into speaker credibility, SC, and you think about your speaker credibility in situation. Oops, I did it again. Wait, that's a song, isn't it? Me, myself. You can put things that you might be familiar with, like this is a song for my generation. Where you go, you know, and if there's anyone to talk about my future, I'm the best. I myself am the best expert about me and what I'm going to do. And I've researched the possibility of all my different. You can use, by the way, you can use different colors in your notes. So I put research. And I research. And then you have your thesis. Now your thesis, I'm not going to do this here, but your thesis is one of the only times that you should maybe write out your statement. Because remember, your thesis, I'm going to just do this here to indicate that. Your thesis is your future. Your thesis is your direct statement about your future. So you write it out. We went over this in the exercise. No long convoluted thesis. I know what you're used to in your English classes. We're in public speaking and you're in my public speaking courses. So I'm teaching you about messaging. I'm teaching you about getting your point across in a public setting. This is the way to do it. You write a direct statement. And it's almost like a motto, a phrase, a slogan for you, for your speech. That's what you're trying to do. So you maybe write it out or maybe paraphrase it a little bit less than this stuff here. And then finally your preview main points, or as I like to call it, the roadmap. And of course I get the thing that is, again, paraphrase. Paraphrase. Your first paraphrase for your roadmap is easy because your first speech is a chronological speech. in this order: past, present, future. Now you're not going to say, I'm going to talk about my past, present, future. You're going to say a little bit more flowery, a little bit more elaborate. But first I'm going to talk about where I've been. I'm going to talk about where I am now, and then finally I'm going to talk about where you're going to find me in 5 years. That is how you set up your cue card. You find the words, the key word, the phrasing that's most comfortable for you. Because the key to public speaking is not to do exactly how I do it. The key to public speaking is to take all the tips and tricks and all the things I tell you guys about, and then you find what's the most comfortable for you. What is the best way? This is the best method, not writing out your speech and so forth. But what I'm asking you to do is find the best keywords or system of shorthand or phrasing or stuff like that. The best takes this key thing, the cue card elaboration system, not writing out your speech, no memorization, the key card wisdom, which is a requirement for this course, and then find out what is the best way to do it for you. All right? It was a requirement that you get the cue cards. It was in the syllabus. We've been talking about it, and you can do it. And by the way, you don't have to get the 4x6 cards. You could do the same technique and make it bigger like this and have it set up there. Now remember, the great thing about the cue cards, use 5. You have 5 sections. You have 5 cue cards. It could be the 5 cards in your hand, or it could be the 5 bigger cards in the behind your camera that you can look at. Do not ever write out your speech. Do not write out complete sentences. Do not just take your outline and copy and paste it. Figure out the best. And there's my dog. My dog is still watching. Figure out the best method for you to paraphrase, to shorthand, to make these kinds of things. All right. Comfort is the best method. It's high tech. This is high tech camera work here. So here we go. Ready? Ooh. Comfort is the best way for you to figure out, to get past speech anxiety. We talk about it in class. It's even in your book, where your book and other sources have stated, before your speech, make sure you're well rested, that you are well fed, that you don't have any discomfort. When I do the Zoom classes, I need to get one of those stand-up desks. I always make fun of those stand-up desks. I need to get one of those because, as some of you have heard, sitting down and drinking all that water, there's a little bit of discomfort there. I'm not that bad. If you're just stumbling on my video, not that bad. But you understand what I'm saying. You have to find the comfort that you have. So when I do my Zoom meetings, or when I'm working in my office area, and you've seen my Zoom stuff, it's full of things that make me happy. I have the higher end shelf with the hardback covers and the artifacts from my past, while I have the softbound covers and the more fun stuff over here. Pictures of grandfather's warship from World War II, my military discharge, my degrees, whatever. I have watched students do these speeches through Zoom for the last 3 semesters. And let me tell you right now, I can't say this enough. Put yourself in the surroundings if you can. By the way, I've had students who've given speeches at Walmart. I have students who've given speeches in their cars. I have students who've given speeches in public parks or Starbucks off on the side. Whatever works for you. But if you can find a way to make it as comfortable as possible, do so. Not too comfortable. We don't want to see too. We don't want TMI. We don't want anything that would be, if it was on a newscast, go viral. Nothing like that. But what I'm saying is, there is no requirement to dress up or be formal or anything like that. Find the thing that's most comfortable for you. Make sure you're well lit. I don't want you to be in the darkness. if you're using camera. Now remember, your first speech, I do not require the camera to be on. We develop ourselves as speakers in my class. Kind of sets me apart from other instructors. Not all, other instructors do the same thing, but I'm saying the way I do it. I develop you as a speaker. Just like I have developed politicians to be better speakers. The thing is about being a public speaker is you have to find your own course. You have to find your own way. And so your first speech, camera doesn't have to be on. Just your mic. You get bonus points, by the way, for having your camera on. And for your second and third speech, your camera has to be on. But, again, the most important thing for your first speech is for you to complete it. Follow the outline. Do the elaboration, extemporaneous public speaking method. And make sure you do let me show you one last little trick. In your notes for your main points and subpoints, when you have a reference or you want to do something, you kind of, put quotation marks around it, or you put a little marker or an asterisk. So for your first speech, you have a culture community reference, C and C. That's all you do. And then you put the thing that you want highlighted there. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself as most comfortable to be able to deliver your speech. Alright? Enough of that. Let me get set up to do the actual speech. Now, I, for some reason, am glutton for punishment. Whenever I've done this, I've never written out the speech. I don't do an outline or anything. It's all impromptu. Now, I've done this kind of film director speech enough to maybe where I can wing it like I do. But the purpose of me winging it is not to show off. Because guess what? I'm going to make mistakes. And I guarantee I'm going to go over time. Because the fact of the matter is, what I'm about to do takes time. So don't judge that I'm going to have the timer going and everything, but don't judge that. The thing I want you to notice is how I cover all the little sections in there. By the way, when you write out your note cards, some people write out the transitions. If you use note cards and have it in your hand, when you move your note cards, that's when you will feel like, okay, this is where I'm going to transition. So sometimes you don't have to write out transitions, as long as you put yourself into that thing. By the way, you can do at home those exercises, the transition, elaboration exercises. Do that at home. Do that with people you might know or so forth. Alright, enough of that stuff. Let's get started on this. I'm going to show you this. These are cards with the initials of the sections I will be doing for the speech. It's to help me remember where I'm supposed to be, but more importantly, it's kind of showing you how when you put all this stuff together, it gives you roughly a 5-minute speech. Okay? So when I'm going through these note cards, now what I'm going to show you, you can maybe write your own like this, but don't do this for your actual speech. This is just me showing you how the sections work, okay? Can I back this up? I can't back this up anymore. Let me see. You guys are like, no, too much. See, I have a dragon right there, my Marine Corps hat too. Again, things that make you feel better. Oh, let me move this over here. There we go. Much better. Much better. Okay. Alright, so let me get the timer set up. And again, what I want you to do is not do this, but see what I'm doing in how these sections, when you put them together, helps you fill out your speech. A couple things to note. My intro is just about setting up. My main point is the meat and potatoes of the speech. Try to look for that too. Alright. You gotta get the timer going. My dog is a horrible timer, so that's why my dog doesn't time. Alright. You ever go down that long road and you're traveling and you're seeing off in the distance where you head up, and you just don't look at the things as you pass it by? You know, that's how I feel heading to my future. And that's why I want to go into film and that kind of imagery that will lead me to become a film director. Why do you care about me becoming a film director? Because you, like me, have a future to think about. And I'm going to show you how I'm getting to that path. Now, I know myself. I'm the best authority about myself, and I have researched what it takes to be successful in the film industry. That is why I'm here to tell you I will be a film director. You know, a film director of you know, epic films or even small independents. And I'm going to do this by talking about where I've been, talk about what I'm doing now, and then finally about my future. Enough of the setup. Let's talk about where I've been. Now, growing up in my neighborhood, it was pretty rough, and we had to find a way to escape. And film was one of the best methods to escape. We would go off and get lost in the movies. I'm sorry. We would have to deal with the tough neighborhood that we grew up in, and we would do that by escaping into the movies. That neighborhood was full of gangs and violence and drugs. We had to make decisions when we were sometimes in our single digits of age. And that would lead us down a wrong path. And one of the big, we would have a thing. When you grow up in a poor, crime-ridden neighborhood, you have to make those tough choices. And one of the best choices was when we would go off and watch a movie. We would try to save our money to go to a movie theater or go escape in the movies by watching it at home. Yes, we did have home movies back then. I'm not that old. But the fact of the matter is that was part of our escape. And that escape is leading me to what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to college. And I'm taking all the things I could do right now to get the experience in this moment to hopefully get in the film. That's taking the classes I need and doing internships where I can. I am currently a film major, and I am taking every film class possible. And then I'm minoring in some classes that will help me in my communication skills, like public speaking, and also in other areas. And then I'm also interning in the film industry where I can. I'm in LA. I gotta see about getting into my foot in the door by being an intern at one of the major studios or film production crews. So that's what I'm doing presently. Let's talk about my future. And my future is bright, because in 5 to 10 years I hope that you see my name in the lights. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. But anyways, it's something that is a part of me. Creation. And I want to do that by pushing my own ideas, while at the same time being reasonable and putting my foot in the door in the industry. First off is my ideas. You know, creating new worlds, creating new stories and different ideas and different takes on classic storytelling. You know, it could be changing how we do science fiction to creating a funny zombie apocalyptic sitcom. Lots of ideas. But to do that, I gotta put my foot in the door. And so I gotta make short films and then market those short films in the industry. I love stand-up comedy, so I do some open mics just to go out there and I can't even think of the word right now. Watching the time. But I'm going out there and putting my name out there and where I can. And all that stuff and all that future is what I'm hoping to do. And that leads to the future that ends this speech. First I talked about my past, then I talked about my present, and finally I talked about my future. I am going to be a film director. Sorry, I forgot to turn off the sound. I always do that every year I do this. Anyways, I know I'm going to be a film director someday. And I hope to do it in the small and the large scale when it comes to film. Because you know, when I'm traveling down that road and I'm looking at to the far end, I hope I don't forget to see the trees that are along the side and those sights, because they might inspire me to make my first story. Alright, see how that works? By the way, do not do what I just did, okay? But I did that method there. Negotiate. I can't, why can't I think of the word? Negotiate. I can't think of the word. If you've been in my class, you know I get stumped on a word, and I'm like, it'll come to me like about 30 seconds later, or a minute, or in this case, 2 or 3 minutes. Network. Alright, anyways. But I wanted you to show you what it is, because now it's impromptu. I've been doing a version of that speech for a while, but I make up the words and stuff all the time. I was serious. I did not intend to rhyme. But by showing you how all these sections put together puts you into around 5-minute range. Now, just a reminder, your goal is 5 minutes. If you are short by 40 to 50 seconds, you're not going to get punished. If you're long, 40 to 50 seconds, you're not going to get punished. It's only when you go too extreme short, too extreme long, that you lose points. Alright? So keep that in mind. And don't worry about going too long, because the fact is, the best timekeeper in the business, which is this guy. Not kidding, this is the timekeeper. The best timekeeper in the business. It might be Baby Yoda. I haven't decided. It could be Baby Yoda. Anyways, the best timekeeper in the business will actually cut you off if you go too long, so you don't lose points. Don't worry about it. It's going to be easy. You have this. Remember what I said when I teach people how to ski and stuff. If you tell yourself that you're going to fall, you're going to fall. If you tell yourself you're going to have problems with your first speech, you're going to have problems. What you should tell yourself is you're going to be in a small room full of fellow students. Zoom room, by the way, Zoom room. We're not doing this physically. You're going to be in a small Zoom room full of fellow students sharing the same experience, and you're going to be in a safer area to get over your first speech. Pretty easy. No anxiety. Rewatch this video if you need more examples. How to do the cue cards. Contact me through Canvas. I know you can do this. I've seen it done tons of times before. You got this.